Just Jeff.
For a quorum. Or no, actually. That's pretty
Mhm.
good.
Mhm. 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 Neither him.
Do we?
Mhm. Yeah.
He's going to be here, so. That's okay.
It's Joe.
Yeah, quorum. We need him for quorum. Yeah, I took him this afternoon. He said he was going to be here. Yeah, that's true. Oh, he's late for his meeting.
Well, not that I'm aware of, but they're going to do something.
John's not.
That is.
He's there. She's the person.
Yes.
See, yeah. Wendy, Joe,
That was
yourself.
three comments. Something there. Yeah.
He does. Try to bring.
Call this meeting to order at 5:31. Business is the question for that.
Just a flag. United States of America. To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My chairman's report tonight, this is my last meeting as the chair. And I'd just like to say what a pleasure it's been to serve as the chair here for the last 2 years. Administration and staff. To work with the really professional and inspiring group. And I thank you for all your support. During that time, thank you to Dr. Truckenbauer, being president over my term. And I welcome Bethany as the incoming chair. So, thank you for accepting my role. Having you as our chair. So the only order of business I have this evening is the election of officers, and as they're presented, Bethany Schumer McKee for president, I'm sorry, chair. Ed Jesuits for vice chair, Chastity Hellsaper for treasurer, and Diana Bassett, attorney as our secretary. I would prefer motion. Motion by type A, and second, please. Second by Garrett. Are there any opposed to accept the state officers as they have opposed? All attention, they are approved, and we will adjourn this meeting and pass the gavel to them.
So we'll call the meeting to order, and we'll begin. If you recall, we didn't meet last month, but 2 months ago, we set a public hearing for the use on video conferencing for Board of Trustees meetings. And in everyone's packet, and at some point tonight, we will be voting on our proposed policy for video conferencing by trustees for meetings. I will call the public hearing to order and ask if there are any members of the public that would like to comment on the proposal. Hearing none, we will keep the public hearing portion of the meeting open until we're prepared to get to the policy section at the very end of the agenda when we'll vote on it. Should any member of the public appear tonight to speak, we will be happy to entertain their comments prior to the vote. Do we have any comments from the public or comments from the union?
It's a pleasure working with Chairman Peck, and I look forward to working with Chairman McGee over the course of the next year.
Thank you. If there are no other public or union comments, we'll move on to our educational showcase.
So tonight we have a very special program planned for you. Unfortunately, those guys couldn't make it. So instead we have assistant professors Jeremy Spraggs and Roger Young, who are here to talk about some of what dastardly deeds they've been up to with their National Science Foundation projects and some other things that they cook up in their lab. And if there's time, they're going to talk a little bit about some recipes that they've cooked up this summer, because they're both, well, let's see, we have one grill master and one master taster here this evening. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to you, Jeremy.
So let me share the screen.
Going down the middle one. There you go. Jeremy should, I'll say on Jeremy's behalf, he's still suffering a little bit from jet lag. So if there's a delay, you'll understand.
No, we're good. So this is a project Roger and I have been working on for the last, I'm going to talk fast because I don't want to drag this out, but the last few years, and I'll tell you what it's all about at the end, because really to understand it, there are a few things, by the way, it's not 48 slides. So there are 3 entities. So we're going to jump right into it. There are 3 entities, and there are 3 relationships. And we want to tell you about all of them at once to really try to understand.
You can minimize it if you want. All the way over on the left. Yep.
And we're used to MSTs. Anyway, so we'd like to tell you about them all at once, but we haven't figured out how to do that. Do things at once. So we'll do it bit by bit. And we're going to start with something that we're already kind of familiar with as a job board. Simple, right? We're familiar with that concept. So a job board that matches talent, people, matches talent with employers. Simple, right? So we have talent, and we've got employers, and then, so usually this is based on resumes and job descriptions. They're text-based, brief descriptions, bullet points that really try to summarize years worth of education at work. And so it's not a really good description, right? Complex work requirements and all years of building the talent. It's really difficult to do. It's kind of like deciding what to get by looking at the front of the cereal box. You know, so the cereal box tells you a little bit about it. And but if you want to find the right cereal for you,
You want to find the right match, the right cereal for your dietary needs. Let's say you want to have a more healthy diet, right? So, and different people have different needs, right? Some people want to bring the A1C down. Some people want to have, more iron, more, but some people might need more fiber. So careful when you Google healthy cereals. That's what comes up. So, but I'll use a different one, right? There is a cereal. So let's use this instead. That's better, right? So original oat morning crunch, original morning oat crunch. So you can find some vague descriptions. This is the analogy here. Some vague descriptions on the front of the cereal box. Heart healthy, that sounds good, but what does that mean? An excellent source of fiber, it's not quantified. You don't really know anything about it. So it's like the front of the cereal box, right? Well, what does it really mean? That's like matching a job description and a resume. It's like looking at the front of the cereal box. If you really want to know if it's a good match for your own specific dietary needs, you got to look at the standardized list of parameters, a standardized list of details. So that's what industry has decided. That's what's important. The total fat, cholesterol, sodium, carbohydrates. So you can find the profile. Wouldn't it be kind of handy if there were like an app? So you put in your health information, you put in what you need, and it already knows about all the different cereal types, and it gives you a ranking. It kind of builds that profile and makes that list of the details of what cereal would be the best match, and it can rank it, a percentage match. That would be a good idea, right? So let's apply this to the job board. And this is just exactly what's happening. So employers created a list of over 200 skill and the knowledge items, and they're all categorized. Some are directly related to specific job tasks. Some are more vague. Some are soft skills. Some are just general workplace skills. So the employer said, this is what's important. And then they say for a specific job, for this job, this is how important each of those things are. Some are more important, some are less important. So they rank those 0, 1, 2, or 3. And then for a different job, they have a different profile, a different ranking. So they end up with this competency profile. It's a term they use. Competency profile is a detailed description of what a person needs to know to be able to do that specific job. It's like a good idea, right? Are people familiar with this? Or like, new thing with me, but is this like, yeah. Anyway, so this competency profile, it's what a person needs to know to be successful. So how do you match what the talent is? So how do you match what the individuals, the people who come through programs and maybe have some work experience, how do you match what they have? Typically, traditionally it's done through certification tests. We're all familiar with that. The person becomes certified after they pass this test. And that's got its pluses and minuses. But maybe there's a better way. Maybe there's a way we can streamline things. So if we take that list, that competency profile from employers, instead of move it down toward educators. So it's that same list of what's important to employers. So our educators go through the list and we rank course by course. So for each course, we've gone through that list. This is where Roger was talking about. Roger didn't work. So we went through the courses, and Roger went through math courses, physics courses, all the courses related to our program, and ranked those 200 plus items, 0, 1, 2, or 3. And this is just an example. I know you can't read this, but it kind of gives an idea of, these are the different skills. Math is like measuring things, communication, applied interpersonal communication. And this is how we ranked this one particular course, 0, 1, 2, or 3. And these have very specific meanings. And we say how we assess it, how we teach it, how we assess it. A bunch of details, right? Just know there's a whole lot that goes into this. So it's a really detailed list. So now we educators have this competency profile for our program. All of these are summed together for each course within our program. A dozen or 2 courses are they're all summed, and for the program, you end up with this competency profile. And if a person has gone through and graduated through our program, then that is applied to that person. It's that same thing. So it's all based on the same list of what's important to employers and how we teach it for this particular program. And then somebody goes to the program and they have that profile. And then the circle is connected again because the talent can make the connection with employers. That's the job. So they put this together. That's why I'm so excited about this. They put this together with a really good website. I was really impressed. It was really good. So you can look this up later, National Talent Hub. So it's user, you see assign it, and you have one of three roles. Either you're going to be talent, somebody's gone through a program or work somewhere, employer or educator, right? So the talent, basically here's the talent. So here's the talent they go through, and they put the program they've gone through, some courses possibly, and work experience. If they find a job that has already had the profile defined and they've had that for a year or 2 years, then they can add that to their profile. So there's a really good detailed list of what this person knows, what he or she knows. And so the talent they can filter, they can look at jobs out there, and you get this percentage match over here. And you can see how well a match you are. And that's not by looking at the front of the 0 box. That's by looking at a really good match. And not only that, but the talent, the people, they can look at a gap assessment. So you can do gap assessment, and that'll say, hey, if I want this job, here's where I'm short, and here's where, my strengths. Here's where I need to opportunities for improvement. So maybe they can look up a program or a course, and when they look that up, they can actually look at training options. So the course, the programs are in there already. They can see what they need to close that gap. So it's a really good tool for a person's growth. The educators, this is valuable information to us. This is so important to teach what is relevant to industry. Well, there is our list of exactly what's relevant for this job, for that job, for that job. So we can do a gap analysis also. And so we can look at where our program has opportunities, where it's weak for this job or that job. And then they have generic job profiles in there too. So you can see where we're weak and where we might need to build it up. But with our program, it's kind of full. So anytime we add something to our program, we have to take something out. So, but presto change, this thing works out pretty well because it also tells where we're maybe teaching something that isn't so important to employers. So it can help us to know what we can do down the program. So this is just, I know you can't read the things, but it's really easy. You can go through here. We're going to look at a job profile, pick Global Foundries, pick maintenance tech level 2, and we want to compare it to a program. Fmcc is the like tech program, and it gives, it's going to give the 200 plus items, and for each one of those, it tells what the job requires, what level 1, 2, and all have one in the screenshot. And it'll tell you how we teach it. If we're ahead, green is, we meet or overteach it. Red means it's something we could build up. So it's really valuable for us. And actually part of this project, which I haven't told you about yet, it is designed to help us build those up and provide funding for equipment. So it's from the employer's perspective, this is the job board, right? And this is probably where the money's going to come from to make this sustainable. This is good information to pay for. So, and this is just an example of, here's an employer, and they have a few jobs listed in here. So these are the jobs, and here are the matches that they have. And they can click on those and see, they can't get the contact information, I think, unless they pay, but they can see what's, the individual talent and how closely they're ranked. So it's a good match. So other facts about it, this is just getting started from now. Fmcc is one of the first 3 community colleges involved with this. So this is one of those things where it's kind of taken off and it needs a lot of people using it all at once. So the 3 different parties have to get involved in it. And that's what's happening now. So FM is one of the first. We can go back 5 years with our grads and grant them these certifications. By the way, the program is certified. That's another thing. The program is certified, not the individual. So if a person has completed the program, then they become certified. So we can go back 5 years, issue certifications. So that's a big plus for grads. Also, it's dynamic and it's scalable. This is not like a, sometimes you look at these certification tests and it's got questions that I don't think they've been using those since the 80s kind of thing, But so as this can change as we tweak our courses, modify programs, we can edit our competency profile. So we add some vacuum stuff or take some RF stuff out or whatever. We can change, and once a year it's kind of frozen, it's kind of captured. And so grads from that year, they know what they learned, even though our program might be changing 2 or 3 years down the road. And the same thing with employers. They can tweak their profiles. They can tweak it. They can tweak it as industry needs change. New stuff comes along. Old stuff is kind of retired. Or this is started with the semiconductor industry, but it's transferable to other fields, and we can add to that list of, the system can add to that list of 200 plus parameters and have stuff. So maybe some stuff working with the food service, you know, for manufacturing food. I mean, there are a whole lot of rules for food, and then like each places to be able to. So as you can see, the job board is just the byproduct. I start with that because it's easy for us to talk about and understand. But it's the byproduct of this really cool system. So it strengthens the coordination between industry and education, which makes us happy. And more importantly, it's good for the talent, right? This is really what it's all about, is people and the ability to move up and improve, self-improve, and it gives people targeted pathways to follow education programs to learn. So now I'll start at the beginning. This is a project that was started by National Science Foundation, Department of Labor, and it's administered by Suny Poly in Albany. So they have the $6 million award at Suny Poly. And so National Talent Hub is this that I'm talking about, but it's under the business, the organization that runs it is NIIT. And NIIT is Mike Russo, if you don't like Russo. That's Mike Russo, that's what he's doing now. The overarching goals to highlight and improve opportunities for talent to find a pathway to critically in-demand careers. That's why National Science Foundation, Department of Labor got into this. That's their whole goal. We all know about the middle level skill crisis, demand, all that. I have to preach that, this group. But the whole goal is to highlight pathways and to get people in them. And also to better align the skills needed by industry with education programs, and to make a system to provide certification so talent can go into places with certification. So this started in the semiconductor industry, but it's going to expand. So that was the area targeted as most in the middle level skills. But this is going to expand to other things. Our lineage, you know, our piece of the pie in this is National Science Foundation $6 million semi-cert program. And Suny Poly in Albany administers this, and then we have a sub-award for this. And our sub-award has 2 main areas. One is this, and the other, which Roger's been working on. The other is outreach, and that's for Zach Carrico next door. We've been working on this, and our path now is we're making engaging tabletop automations, little gizmos that we use that our students can use and build on. And if you put it on the table, it makes noise and moves around and gets people's attention a little bit. And that's like the hook. And then we can try to explain about little level skills, 2-year degree, very low college debt, high, low ratio of debt to income. So I'm not going to show this video unless you really want to. 6-minute video, it's pretty good, but it's like a textbook. If you just watch this video, it's all full of baffle gab, and it's kind of bewildering. But if you already know about it and you watch the video, it's kind of cool. But I'll leave it out there. That's good. My wife says I shouldn't ask, are there any questions? She says I should say, what questions do you have?
So is this something that could be used as an internal tool? We have a lot of students, I believe we have students in individual studies programs. Is it something where a student that's on the individual studies path, but believes that they might be interested in a certain area, could plug in their education courses that they're taking now, and get some kind of an idea of what courses they would need for a job that they may be considering in the future?
So just as we went through the different courses and we built a program, we can build as many programs as we like. So yes, individual studies, if we go through the individual, some of them might be in there already. But if there's specific stuff that they're doing, we could go through that profile and assign those values and build their own profile.
I can see that being valuable for a student that doesn't know exactly what they want, but maybe knows the sector.
And they want more, right? Because it's one of those things that's only good if more people are using it. So there's no, this there's no cost or anything to adding this. We can add whatever we want. We can have other people here. Thank you.
What's interesting about that, though, we could ask if we're thinking about adding a program. We could go through and use this as a tool. We add it. If the program's designed to get people working, we start coming jobs out there. How would this to the people? Right? And then if we have a program, let's get rid of that course, put that one in its place, may increase the number of employers, increase the match. So it's,
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, yeah. And then we can tweak it as we're designing the program, tweak it. See if it improves the matches.
for the student, if it's individual, you take this course out, put this one in, we put it in there, you're gonna reduce your matches, but you may really wanna go that way, just realize what you're giving up, right? It's kind of exciting.
That's a great tool. I was pretty excited when I saw how it came together. I understood it before, but the way they put together on the website is really elegant.
Yeah.
So we can improve our program like a champion. Like a champion. Thank you very much for hearing what we have.
Thank you.
Yes.
So you want to hit stop share. There you go.
So,
We are all set. Thanks, guys.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So the minutes from the prior meeting were in all of the board members' packets. Hopefully you had the opportunity to review them. Does anyone have any changes or corrections for the secretary? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Joe Salama. Trustee Benson. All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes, minutes are approved. We'll start with the chairman's report. As all of you know, the college is a member of the New York Community College Trustees Association. There is an annual renewal, and it is time for us to determine whether or not we would like to continue to participate. As all of you know, they hold an annual conference. Part of our membership money goes towards lobbying and advocacy for the needs of community colleges and their students throughout the state, and training materials and training programs for trustees. The membership dues are due by September 1st if we would like to renew, and the annual renewal cost is $2,345. Would there be a trustee who would be interested in sponsoring a resolution to authorize this expenditure? I will make that motion if there's another trustee who would be interested in seconding that.
Could you explain a little bit more, please?
Sure, I'm gonna let Dr. Trucker Miller tell us a little bit
Yeah,
more
so
about.
What you are going to support the expenses, trustee?
Okay.
sure, this is an expense that the college has had for the life of our involvement with NYCCT. So this is our annual invoice. We bring this to you to make sure that you are comfortable with the college maintaining that expense. As the chair explained, this is the primary organization in New York State that does professional development for trustees, advocacy for community colleges. And, I know that several of you have participated in those conferences in the past and found value in them. I know that in the upcoming year, NYCCT has been talking with the President's Association about engaging the services of a professional lobbyist to enhance the advocacy efforts that are they hope to apply to New York State. So this is a routine matter for the board, but one that we just ask that you're still comfortable. There was some discussion a couple of years ago about whether or not we felt we were getting any value out of it. The leadership of the organization changed. I know that Trustee Landrio was involved in helping to redesign the bylaws, and Trustee Jasowitz has been involved in the past. I think you have as well, Jeff. Is that correct? So
It's the, well, probably not ideal. It is the advocacy organization for community colleges in New York State. So as a community college in New York State, I think that we need to have that voice. $2,000, I'm second that.
Is there any other discussion on the motion? Then I'd ask for a vote. All in favor of authorizing continuing membership in NYCCT, approved? All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? The motion carries. I'd like to remind trustees that our conflict of interest forms are due. If you haven't filled yours out, there may have been one sitting in front of your spot. If it could be filled out before the conclusion of the meeting, we would appreciate that. Also included in the add-on packet for this meeting, there are two motions that we will bring. The first, there's a proposed renewal agreement between the community college and the FCA, or the Fulton-Montgomery College Association. As many of you know, there are a number of things that community colleges can do, and there are things that community colleges are not permitted to do. The FCA is essentially the independent entity that coordinates food service on campus, the bookstore, housing, and the student senate and their budget. This agreement has been renewed since 1966, and the president is asking this evening for a motion from a trustee to renew it for the period of 1 year beginning September 1st and ending next August 31st. May I have a sponsor for that motion? Trustee Ghazi, second. Trustee Perry. Any discussion on the motion or questions? Then I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. And additionally, we are in a position tonight where we need to discuss the renewal of our agreement with the Fmcc Foundation. This is a 5-year renewal. We tend to renew them in successive 5-year terms. I don't think I need to spend much time, because you'll see here a report in a few minutes, but all of you know that the college wouldn't be the college without the hard work of our friends at the foundation. So I would ask for a sponsor to authorize the chair of the board to sign a 5-year renewal. Again, that copy is in your add-on packet and one can be provided if you don't have it. Trustee Perry, second. Trustee Peck. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Now we'll move on to the president's report with Dr. Truckenmiller.
thank you, Madam Chair. I want to take a moment to welcome our new student trustee, Evan Sawitsky. This is Evan's first meeting with us, and so we're looking forward to working with you this year. I believe you're a nursing student. Is that correct, Evan?
Yes, the second year.
Second year nursing student. And we'll have more opportunities to talk with you with the leadership team to give you some orientation, and the trustees as well will have take an opportunity to talk about being a trustee. And if you're able, I know you're busy with nursing, but the NYCCT conference that comes up in September, I believe, has an opportunity for student trustees as well. So welcome.
Thank you very much.
I have a brief report. I hope it's brief. So let me pop in, share my screen. So I want to talk a little bit about, and some of this will be redundant to things that I've shared with trustees through our regular updates, but we've had a really good few weeks in terms of external funding to the college. As we've discussed throughout the past year, 2 years, 3 years, funding has been challenging for us. State support hasn't been exactly what we would like it to be. Enrollment has been a challenge, and so it's more important than ever for the college to look for alternative sources of funding. And we've actually had a pretty good run. In fact, I think it spoiled us so much that I was disappointed this week when I couldn't report that we got yet another grant. But one thing that I will note is, we took the opportunity this last year to partner with Suny Adirondack in hiring a grant writer. And she's been a tremendous resource working with our staff, and Diana and Jackie have been working with her, and Dan and our business and community partnerships team has been working on a lot of these programs. So a little over $2 million over the last month in funding, and I'll just briefly go through some of these. This is probably the first one that we received through all this. We have talked about this, the Suny Emergency Nursing Training Funds, and this is allowing us to upgrade our sim lab, and I think most of that upgrade work is done. We certainly have the mannequins, some of the technical pieces of hooking those up. It may still be ongoing, but we're fortunate to be able to get some funding for that. The Money Smart Financial Coaching Program. This is similar to a financial literacy program we had a few years ago that was called the Smart Money Program, I think. But this is a program that's going to allow us to do some financial coaching and provide financial literacy for our students. This will involve the business faculty, financial aid staff, and others. This is a program that Westchester has been modeling for several years, and so we'll be following sort of the template of that program. Again, another program that Diana was working hard on was our high needs localities program, where Suny provided us with some money to hire an additional Rad Tech faculty member to allow us to expand the Rad Tech program. That's been a challenge for us in terms of, the student to faculty ratio in a clinical program like Rad Tech is very small. So for us to expand that program, it really requires a significant investment in terms of a faculty member. And Suny's giving us the seed money to do that. And, we've had a pretty healthy waiting list. And I think, Trustee Peck can attest to the need in the local area as well as the regional area for technologists. So we are excited to have that opportunity. The Workforce Training Development Grant is a partnership that we have with Schenectady, with Suny Adirondack, with Columbia Green. This is revolving around our cannabis program. This is our share of about $1 million that's being split between the 4 community colleges to do some more curriculum development, acquire some equipment, and bolster that effort, which has been probably our most popular program over the last 2 years. So this is a fairly recent grant that we received as well. This is another one that Diana was involved with in terms of bringing almost $600,000 to us. And this is to develop a Center for Emerging Technician Occupations. You want to talk a little bit about that, Diana?
Sure. It actually supports some of the work that Jeremy and Roger are doing. It's going to provide some amateur equipment that they can actually bring with them to high schools, to baseball games, to events. They can set up a table. It's very hands-on, it's very experiential, very interesting, and expensive equipment. So this grant is going to help us to expand that effort that they've been working on. It's also going to allow us, right now in the individual studies program, we have some issues in individual studies with phlebotomy. Some of the phlebotomy sites have backed off because we're not providing our own phlebotomy, like pre-orientation, pre-training. So now we're buying the actual simulation equipment to be able to do that. So that's going to be huge for us. That's going to allow us to expand sites, even as far as Malta, and really revisit the sites in our local area again. So that's going to be huge for that area. There are students who are interested, and there's certainly a need in the community, but we need to compete with the other community colleges in terms of providing the applied learning before they actually go for continuing applied learning. So we're excited about this grant. It covers the salaries. It's going to allow us to hire more success coaches. It's also going to support a different lab concept that Electech is interested in piloting that could work well with employees who have different work schedules, like Global Foundry employees who come back to get the degree. So we can offer some lab options off sequence. So we're excited. We're looking forward to that.
Any expanding into other medical technical, so technical jobs like lab techs or
We are looking, the lab tech in particular was written into this for us to explore. And then-
respiratory techs.
Yeah, we think so too. We want to expand in that area in individual studies. And also, Carlin and I are looking into a potential nuclear medicine program, tech program. That might end up having to be non-credit to start out before we actually apply for.
And clear med certification for red tech would be helpful.
Yeah.
And there's opportunity for nuclear med too. Program.
And that's exactly the plan we're looking at. Is new meds would be for the licensed med technologists. So it'd be a good step.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a second, Jeff, but we also received a little over $400,000 in supplemental support from the American Rescue Plan. Half of this has to go to the students. So, a little over $200,000 will be issued to our students from this funding. The other half of the money, we had talked previously about the permission we received for using her funds for a local match to get state dollars. We have some HVAC upgrades and some IT upgrades that this provides a nice match for. So we're glad to receive this.
When you say student grants targeted towards the students, is it financial aid? Is it just like one student, like tuition reduction? Like how does that apply?
They're grants. So they are, the criteria for this are, they want us to start off with those who have the greatest financial need. And basically it's Chastity can explain this probably better than I can, but it's primarily, it's a grant. Our grants ranged anywhere from $300 to $1,800 last year, I think. And it tends to be actually money that goes in the student's pocket, because the intent of it is that after your other financial aid covers your bills and your primary expenses, you may still need food, you may still need transportation, you still may need childcare. But you can also, if you have a bill, you can still apply it to your bill. And if you have a bill, we hope you do, but it isn't, we can't, the only constraints on it is that it has to be generally associated with cost of attendance. So if that makes sense.
So if the student does have a bill, we conduct that before we give them the balance.
We're not actually allowed to do that. Yeah, we can, right. A lot of it's pass through dollars. It's, because many students weren't eligible for some of the other stimulus funds that came to private households. And so this is, I think, the government's way of helping that population.
I get it. Business person who just wants to see us make.
Yep. We don't disagree with you. That we also, when we talked about this, the recent state budget that passed, there was about $60 million that the Senate and the Assembly added into the the request that Suny made. And that Suny hadn't asked for it. The Senate and the Assembly didn't put any sort of necessary parameters around it. And so there was a big question about how this money was going to be spent. And at their June meeting, the trustees came up with what they're calling a reinvestment or revitalization plan for Suny. And they developed an allocation formula for the 64 campuses. They've put some general comment around how we're to use these funds. They're one shot, and we're supposed to be investing in strategic enrollment initiatives, academic programs that will move us forward as a system, move us forward as individual campuses. That said, because this is coming from Suny, we've got to submit a plan, and we're currently waiting for the parameters of what that plan needs to contain. This has been out for about a couple of weeks now, and I guess we shouldn't expect that we have it in our hands by now, but the Suny's also known about this since April. So that said, we're not going to sneeze at $400,000. We're told that once we apply and present our plan, we'll also have to submit some reports to make sure that we followed up on the plan. So this is where some of these other programs may come in, Jeff, that you were talking about. We'll look at what they had asked us before the trustee meeting to identify areas that we would need funding if we were going to expand, or areas that we might be expanding, but just couldn't do because we needed some additional seed money. So this is their response to that. Some institutions obviously got more money because this isn't 64, this isn't 60 million divided by 64. So, but again, 400,000 is not completely inconsequential. So just to update you on where our budget is at, Montgomery County did approve our budget on July 26th, and Fulton County approved it on August 8th. And it is now waiting for Suny to approve. So that is anticipated to happen in September. It's happened as late as November in other years, but it should be on track for September. Capital projects, Trustee Landrio is not with us this evening, so I will fill you in on where things are. We finally wrapped up our last 2020 project. The wastewater treatment plant alarm is substantially complete. There's maybe one part that we're waiting for, but the training is taken. It's operational. The training has taken place, and so we're happy to see that one that's been lingering. And the DEC will be happy because that's a project that the DEC was requiring us to complete. Our current year projects, our science labs demolition and asbestos is complete. Construction's underway. They're here most days. Casework is one of those things that they're hoping it gets here by late October. If everything works the way that it's supposed to work, we may have it available for the spring semester, but nobody's holding their breath just because supply chain has been really, really slow, and doors are 22 weeks out, and it's everybody's experiencing that. The other actual project that's taking place this summer is the HVAC controls. Those have been ordered. Again, we're waiting for those. The lead time on that isn't quite 22 weeks, but it's out there. So, and then the third project that we're working on this year is the master plan critical maintenance study. Those meetings have started. They've been on site. Their engineers have been crawling around campus. They've been meeting with staff. Both counties have been represented in that process. The planning director from Fulton County and Ken Rose from Montgomery County have been present for those meetings and are watching what's going on. And all of this will inform our next facilities master plan, which is due to get started. The current one sunsets next year. So those projects for next year have been submitted to both counties. They have slightly different processes. Fulton County has, the Finance Committee has reviewed and recommended our projects to the Capital Projects Committee. Capital Projects Committee is considering those, and they will make their final recommendation to the back to the full board and the Finance Committee as they develop their budget. Montgomery County has a slightly different timeline. They've received our requests, and quite honestly, they tend to wait and see what Fulton County is going to do. Meanwhile, we have the Suny process to go along with that, and so that is progressing. Quick update on the FCA. The Supreme Court approved the sale of student housing on July 19th. We still do not have a closing date, but our attorneys have notified the buyer's attorney that they must close by September 9th. The FCA Food Service Committee has been unable to attract a vendor for a manned food service operation, but at a meeting recently with Prestige Vending, they're going to be adding a self-service market in the College Union. So that'll make the third location on campus that we have. I know from the discussion with Prestige, they're very happy with the outcomes that they had last year. And, I think it'll be a nice addition for our students. Student Affairs Office is also coordinating food trucks for as many dates as they possibly can. Those are also very popular. And what we learned from some of the food truck vendors is the snow doesn't bother them. So they're not worried about coming here when the weather's cold. So we will have some form of food service for our students. And with that, I will take any questions about those items or any other that may be on your mind.
Anything in the Suny's review, is there anything in there, transformation funds for community colleges, supporting collaborations or realignment of programs or capital dollars to kind of review the system?
Nope. The lion's share of the money, as you might imagine, has gone to the state operated campuses, and the money that they managed to give to the community colleges, which I think was about 35 million. Is that right? So, yeah. And it was, they were very concerned about those funds not going to supplant existing funds or existing programs. It's all about strategic investment. And so it's not. It is not.
Thank you, Dr. Trump-Miller. I neglected to mention in my chairman's report that this is the time of year that the trustees can review their current roles as liaisons to different committees. If anyone's interested in doing something different, please let me know. Wendy Perry has indicated that she would be interested in taking over my role on the policy committee. So starting next month, she will probably have nothing to report. But if there is, she'll report. We have no student trustee report tonight, but I would like on behalf of the board to welcome Trustee Suny and move on to Trustee Ghazi for the foundation.
Before I start my report, I want to thank you, Mr. Greg, for your leadership to take us a difficult time. End of the your work and everybody else's work. The end result was fabulous, and we're very, very, very happy about it. And I want to congratulate Bethany Schumann McGee, our new board, and best of luck. Report and very cooperative board. I'm going to start my report. The Fish Friday series is going to be on September 30th. And is in Allen House. The topic is going to be about crime, drugs, and marijuana, the use of marijuana. And we have two speakers, one from Montgomery County Sheriff Smith, and the other one is from Fulton County Sheriff Giardino. And they're going to serve breakfast from 8 to 8:30, and from 8:30 to 9:30, they are going to present to the crowd. If you are interested, please do RSVP to Foundation. And the second item I'm going to discuss is Financial Technology Center ribbon cutting, which is going to be with combination of Fulton-Montgomery Regional Chamber Business After Hours. It's going to happen September 22nd between 4 to 6 p.m. at O'Connor Hall, room 123C. If anybody is interested, please RSVP to the foundation. And Union Hall is going to be catering. Distinguished alumni, the 15th of distinguished alumni. It's going to be on November 3rd. Please mark your calendar. And as well as the second annual Clock Tower Award. For the Clock Tower Award, there's a foundation has a group of people, and they are going to decide on that. And for distinguished alumni, if anybody has any anyone that they can recommend, they can go on the website foundationalfm.org and the board. Early gallery opening this year is the first time this year is going to be open. There's the September 9th. It's going to be some refreshment, and it's going to be continued until October 15th. Again, if anybody is interested, from that day, September 9th until October 15th is going to be open. FM Foundation Golf Tournament 29 is going to take place in the Hoxton on May 25th. And the booklet is going to be made out. Director of Gallery, along with Mrs. Lancy, did preview some of the art collection belong to PSC segment. This donated to FM. Last but not least, there is some tickets for this is the last concert. Is going to be by Elton John Foundation on it, and if anybody's interested, they can go online and bid on it. The bidding is going to be done by September 1st, and the concert is going to be September 10th in Syracuse. If there's no question, I'm concluding.
Thank you. We will move on to committee reports. Trustee Winston is unable to be here tonight to give us a finance report, so I'll ask Trustee Pulsiver to give us an update, please.
Sure. We provided the detail up until the end of July, 92% of our fiscal year, 81% of our budget, for the finance statement, that detail was provided in June, which represented 83% of the fiscal year. Covering fall 21, winter 22, spring 22, and summer 22 semesters. These figures represented 73.1% of our tuition budget, while expenses incurred represented 10 months, for 73.6% of the budget. There was grants that were included, right, covered basically all of them. There was one contract in regards to a software license. And we did submit a motion to approve for budget transfers. There were 2 budget transfers, one was salary.
So we do need a motion tonight to approve that the trustees have to approve all budget transfers between departments that exceed $5,000. In your packet is information about the salary-based budget transfer. So it's the first sponsor of the motion, like trustee Peck, second trustee Salner, to approve the 2021 budget transfers that are in the packets. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Do you have anyone to your report? Okay, thank you very much. I know that
Jesse, are there any big expenses, extraordinary expenses in August, or do you see them much on that trajectory?
We're pretty probably will be at budget, you know, like, we're looking pretty good. We did look at it a few weeks ago. Salaries are, you know, obviously being processed, you know, it's about $600,000 that's going to be hitting our budget, but we should be in pretty good shape to finish well.
Thank you, trustee Andrew could not be here tonight. I know that Dr. Truckenor gave us some updates on building and grounds. Is there anything else to report from that committee?
No.
Thank you. Academic affairs. Button.
I'll start with Carmen Levant, the Red Tech program. She's been actively building a LinkedIn profile to market the profession and the program graduate success. And full report includes highlights from this initiative. You'll see it's a great marketing effort on her part. It's very active. I just do that. And in Casey, the nursing program director, expressed her sincere thanks and appreciation for the recent donation of hospital beds from April Tower Hospital that replaced lab beds that were not operational in both the nursing and CNA labs. She added that 2 of the donated beds now support the new mannequin technology purchased through the recently secured nursing grant. So that's been really helpful. And in relation to that, Dr. Truckenmiller's comments about that grant, for $90-some thousand, we obtained a high fidelity mannequin. We have a mannequin of color. We ordered sim capture, which allows students from another location to view a simulation and even interact. It's very cool. And a lot of updated equipment for that lab. So Eileen, I thank her. She participated with us on this grant, and she did a lot of good work, a lot of good research, a lot of good things. We're happy for that. Nursing instructor Dr. Cynthia Forrest helped to coordinate the first MASH, Medical Academy of Science and Health program at FM. And that involved faculty and staff participants facilitating. It included Cynthia, Eileen Casey, Phil Srothenberger, Cullen Bailey, Julie Lynn, and Faith Potter. So our faculty were very well represented. Cynthia also attended the 2022 AANP National Conference in person this time. 3,500 nursing practitioners attended this. She earned 23.25 continuing education credits. So great work, Cynthia. It's required as part of her credentials. So that was a nice conference for her to attend. We've had some additional program advisory council events held this summer. Florence Palacios facilitated her annual Health Studies Advisory Committee. Her agenda included discussion related to her program review findings and subsequent curriculum changes and field trends. So it was a good, active conversation. Martin Waffle and his new colleague, William Ike, co-facilitated their CIS program advisory committee meeting with an agenda that included a discussion about employment and technology trends relevant to their curriculum. John Armstrong and his criminal justice advisory board had an agenda that included student learning assessment, program marketing efforts, his course delivery pilot, and the program review process. He also included a presentation and an invitation by Superintendent Locks to participate in the Hale Creek tour on July 8th. The tour was well attended. In addition to advisory members, John Armstrong, Christy Davis, and myself also attended. It was a really great tour. I've never actually been through that entire facility, so it's very interesting. As the lead faculty for the cybersecurity curriculum, William Ike is working on a test out, as he is actually working on test out courses this semester to obtain CompTIA certification for himself. He also conducted a remote meeting with Offensive Security's Adam Sheffield of Global Education Partnerships to discuss available resources, OSCP certification, and federal grant opportunities and recruitment strategies. Cybersecurity has been a growing area everywhere. It's been a growing area for us, and William Ike is extremely talented. He's very motivated. He's got a lot of creative ideas, I think, and for that, I think he's going to take our program to the next level. So I'm looking forward to that. Also from CIS, Martin Waffle and William collaborated on a PTEC program presentation for high school sophomores to get them ready for the various pathways that they're going to be able to choose from. And as you know, we are transitioning to Brightspace away from Blackboard. And in preparation for the conversion to this new teaching learning platform, Martin Waffle again planned and facilitated Brightspace training to over 40 full-time and adjunct faculty. It required that Marty complete Suny training in a very short period of time, actually a couple of weeks. He had to go through the entire training in order to teach everybody else how to use Brightspace. And then also, as the faculty were preparing for fall, he and 4 other pilot faculty, these are 4 other faculty members who had to test pilot Brightspace for this summer. So they put all their online courses, for them in Brightspace. And that was Anya Vito, it was Julie Lynn, Charlene Divis, and Mark Swain. And they worked with Marty, who also had to prep his course ahead to help them with their summer pilot. So it was a whirlwind training that was going on while we were installing Brightspace. Really, I mean, we just finished Brightspace and they had to be ready to teach. It was amazing how smooth that transition went this summer. They all worked as such a collaborative team, sharing tips with each other, sharing tips with the faculty who were preparing for fall. And now they're all getting ready, or actually not getting ready, they're in the middle of now using their experience to help the faculty preparing for fall for teaching all the rest of the courses. And so this training is going on right now by Marty and also the 4 pilot faculty members. So that's what their summer's been like. It's actually pretty amazing. In terms of our business program, all of the online faculty, Alex Henderson, Larry Zuckerman, Charlene Divis, and Mark Swain have completed Suny Brightspace training and have earned the Brightspace training fundamental badge. So that's a step further. They're actually taking the assessments to show that they have some proficiency in Brightspace. And Mark Swain has continued his training, and he's earning all kinds of badges. So we're getting some faculty who are obtaining some deep knowledge of the platform. So that's only going to help us as we go forward. ProCal reported 53 total students, 26 are new students for the fall, and we still have students to advise this August. So that program continues to do very well. Jeremy Spraggs, who you heard from earlier, participated in a Suny Research Foundation training initiative this summer with Tokyo Electron that would on a monthly basis provide training to 12 technicians hired at locations throughout the country. The 2-week training would include classes in high vacuum systems, semiconductor processes, and machine automation and troubleshooting. In addition to helping the training outline and materials, Jeremy himself provided 3 days of training for these TELTECs, alongside Suny Research Foundation employees using a train-the-trainer format. So that's nice to see Jeremy connecting in a very direct way with nanotech. My thanks and kudos to Christy Davis, who organized a table for FM at the Amsterdam Mohawks baseball game on 7/26. She actually teamed up with the Electech faculty, Jeremy Spratt and Adam Zach Carafo from HFM to provide an experiential event that included the engaging tabletop automation. Students in the program use this. Those ETAs demonstrate how programmable controllers and human machine interfaces can sense and control movement used in all kinds of automation systems. They roughly saw 90 kids at their table, ranging in ages from 4 to 13. The whole point of these kinds of outreach events is to start when the children are younger and to start talking to them about automation and all of these high-tech opportunities, high pay, high demand jobs. And Christy Davis prepared a bag for every single student. And in those participant bags were engineering friendly activities that they could do at home, and also a lot of information on the program. So it was really a successful event. They worked really well together. And that is my report.
Thank you. I would be remiss if I did not mention that Trustee Gardella is with us on the screen. And hopefully after the discussion on our video conferencing policy, she will be able to participate and give the report in person at our next month's meeting.
Suggestion, we do next month, we do a board recognition for our team of testers. I think we're going to probably be extraordinary effort.
That's a great idea.
It's ready for platform.
I think that sounds great.
That's great. Excellent report.
And we'll move on to student affairs with Trustee Snyder.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. I would also like to thank Jeff for his leadership and congratulate him. And again, another concise, wonderful report from Jackie and their team. I'm going to summarize it now. For fall of 2022, FM has enrolled 978 students. This represents 750.93 full-time equivalents. Enrollment management area, building the enrollment management infrastructure. Enrollment consultant Rob Palmieri continues to work with Associate Dean Laura Laporte and the admissions team to track both new and former students for fall of 2022. He provides reports that are designed to help with the prioritization of recruitment outreach, financial aid support, targeted marketing strategies. Weekly contact lists are also being sent to the admissions team with important recruitment variables to implement direct outreach to these students. Rob is also providing direct support for the development of new academic programs focused digital, radio, billboard, and direct mailing promotional strategies for fall marketing campaigns. Assistance also continues with the website redesign in partnership with the Associate Dean of Academic and Student Affairs, Dan Fogarty, and Spiral Design, which includes staff and faculty interviews. The administration of a faculty survey, higher education website research, regional employment and occupational projections research, incorporation of videos and testimonials, development of web page copy, etc. Finally, assistance is being provided to consolidate and streamline online admission applications and their corresponding processes, which in the new Slate CRM platform. The Commons is revealed. Associate Dean Arlene Spencer reports that the Commons, FMCC's first floor space of the library building for student engagement and academic support services, is nearly complete in renovations. A survey distributed to the student body to help choose the name for the redesigned concept of the first floor space of the library building for student engagement and academic support services identified, overwhelming the selection of the name, the Commons. The renovations include interior changes of color, furniture, and office moves. A grand reveal is planned for new student orientation events in August and early September. As seen in the photos provided in the board packet, The space will house EOP, TRIO, accessibility services and alternate testing, student involvement activities, the Writing Center, and the new STEM study area. A commuter, international, multicultural lounge, the interfaith room, mental health, telehealth services office, the sensory room, and the international student office are also housed in the building and will be revealed at the start of the semester. The new student center space aligns closely with FMCC's focus on equitable student experience as identified in the new strategic plan. And as President Director Miller spoke about the American Rescue Plan, in May, SUNY campuses were directed to allocate 5% of one-time ARP funds to new mental health support, as well as offering student additional essential mental health and services to SUNY students in response to mental health issues that had arisen due to the pandemic. FM's ARP mental health funding plan aligns with the three themes of the strategic plan, focuses on student experience, and is aimed at meeting the following goals: to adapt, which is enhance mental health services; to connect, to secure and utilize technology to strengthen mental health by improving student connections to services; and leverage, to improve student-centric space to foster a sense of belonging and building community. That is my end of the report, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to diversity, equity, and inclusion with Mr. Devat.
Thank you. And I was thinking about wheels the other day, and I was looking at chairs here. And I thought, geez, how long do people drag things along before wheels? I always picture people going blocks, dragging, not using wheels, until one day maybe they found a tree that had fallen, pulled it over that. And it's like, yeah, what got me, the reason I was talking with that one is I got to get a bit more about shades, color, or just environmental. And I thought, well, why don't we get away people up there? Let's understand that there is that common ground with people, which is where I'm sort of going for this today. I gave you something on pronouns that the governor had sent me. I underlined a couple of words: directed and required. And when we started directing and required, right away, that's sort of a top-down approach. And we've seen what happened with COVID. All that, when you tell people to do things, they're naturally going to resist them. So what I think a lot of that is how do we engage and invest people in taking a closer look at diversity and what it means. And I have another test site, another job I have that I took moving large boxes around. I just had a whole bunch of people. It's a very diverse group. A lot of them went in high school, but that's about it. They're not fully educated, but they're generous indeed people, and they're down. Just knows so much about so many things that's interesting. I've come across a few things that have helped with me. Ever heard of Jim Marin? He's a young LGBTQ guy who has a show. Why I talk to people who hate me. And he had a show when people started getting hate mail. So he would call them and ask them. So that's a lot of what I'm sort of focusing on today. How do we engage people? There's another guy down with Dave who's an African American who had for KKK outfits. He would go to KKK meetings and meet people, and he would engage them with his humanity. And over time, without trying to persuade them, they would see the communists between them. And you see the with the turtle having historical episodes. Watch it. And everybody who's like under 30 see this one at this point. But it is excruciating. It started a global movement on getting this laws. That's what did it. So what I started thinking about is how do people get connected to that? And they suddenly say, we don't want those turtles to suffer anymore. We're going to stop using straws. Now straws are not probably the biggest thing we have to do at this point, but it's instructive because it got on moving at that point. Got on doing things. So I secretly offered a book that's actually didn't make that word up a friend of mine years ago. Offered a book that this other workplace called Nonviolent Communication, a Language of Life. Great response. Great response. Now they have a book group is actually talking about how to change the way of communicating with each other. So what I'm asking for you, from you today is, maybe think a little bit about any ideas you might have, anything that we might be able to start to institute here that would help us get to the point where we change our way of talking to each other. Because I know Rosenberg talks about 10,000 years of learning language domination, separation, versus actually starting to learn language based on understanding what people's needs are. For example, the term engage people. Over is terrified because they don't know what's going to happen next. Now, most of my life I've been fortunate because I've avoided any type of direct discrimination. It's only been age over the last few years that I run into. But actually, that's sort of what you're something touches. What does it feel like to have those barriers there that you have to work harder to try and get past them, whether it be sexism, classism, racism, or whatever. So what I'm looking at more is an approach here will be rather than, and you do need laws, you do need statements that are made and supported by people in authority, but I'm also a bit of a ground up person at this point. How do we go from the ground up and change the culture to where we're at, which, and we're terribly resistant to change when it comes to these things. But as an institution, that's why I'm happy here, because I think students are going to drop this. Right? And I can say whatever I want, but I think at this point, getting students involved in creating the type of environment that removes barriers to people is a crucial thing. So I'm open to hearing whatever you have to say. My race and gender, I don't want it to be a barrier either for people, because I don't really tell people what their lived experience is. But what I will do is create conditions of how their experiences connect with each other. So that's what I've been doing over the summer, thinking about reels, reading and staying in touch with the chief diversity officers throughout the state, listening to hear what they have to say. And it's pretty interesting things, but this is sort of a stubborn issue. So when a year ago, I went to Northeastern University with a friend to take a look at school, this person was going to think about going there, and right away I saw the he, him, his pronouns. I said, we gotta do that at Fmcc. And I thought, this is difficult. Unfortunately, the government intervened. At this point, we may end up in that position. So that's my report. It wasn't too strange. Conversations about changing the way that people communicate. It's a lot of communication style, especially between diverse groups. It's the first priority is kind of meeting those Maslow's hierarchy needs. Are they eat, are they fed, are they housed? It's seems like communication above that is hard to find until you reach spaces there. So our basic needs are found and we can start to think about communication styles over how to meet those needs. So are you having those conversations with students, discussing diversity, how the basic needs matter, their gaps in the basic needs, social determinants that need to be that before they're able to reach that next level?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to listen. Like I said, I'm seeing what from my eyes, be available for other people have to say. And actually, the example I always use is there's 10-year-olds who have made grandmaster status in chess. They teach me a whole lot about chess. There's Greta Thunberg out there like that. So you want to stay open to it. So the first human rights class that I taught after I had developed it, I was the only non-minority person. I walked in and said, oh man, by the way, change this, because we know a lot of students, particularly minority students, who are bad with history. This history is taught from a particular perspective. So yeah, I mean, I think there's any number of factors that come in here. There's race, gender, there's something called, anyone ever hear of false consciousness? It's a sense of believing you're not worthy. That's one definition, that you're second class, you really don't deserve it. I think we see that in a lot of these students. So one of the things I really try and do is empower them to speak up for themselves and understand that it's deserving. It's the next person, not so much on the scale, but you do have a right to be heard. Some years ago when I was, I took a trip up to an Amnesty International conference to try and get to. It was a human rights educator group that was meeting. It was a guy from, his name was from Harvard, I'll say in Boston, right? And there was a bunch of big brains in the room, but he asked, what's a human right? Nobody could answer. This is a discussion that we really have to have to speak about. So the issue is that people understand you have rights, and how do you access those rights? So yourself.
There's a great book out there by Christensen. It's called Disruptive Class. And it just makes you look at things differently. It's an excellent book I had when I was at a school in California. I had all the teachers read it. It's just, even if you sit in a different location, or if you talk about different things, just the disruption that you have changes sometimes the way you feel about some of the things. So disruption made me think of that book. It's an excellent book.
What's it called?
Disrupting Class by Christensen. It's an excellent book. It just gives you a lot of different things. It talks about a lot of different things about how you look at things different just by moving. You know, there, for example, you get a place where you go to a place to sit, you sit there for so long and for years. And then if you move, you look at everything so differently. You know, or if you talk about something different, you go somewhere different, and it just makes you think differently about everything. It's very interesting.
That's crucial. It really fits in nicely with thinking. And now with all the misinformation that's out there. I know we talk to people that say, my worldview, the way I view the world is really good. But not everybody sees it my way, you know, because it's just some of this ego thing that comes in. So being open to hear what other people have to say, even if
Conversations. People sometimes get worried, get nervous because it's out of their comfort zone. That's what it is. You just say that's the disruption. It's not bad. It's just different.
people are intriguing, and I can't say to an international student, hey, tell us about what it's like, you know, in the country, whatever. That's not the appropriate thing to say. But I mean, I really do like hearing from the international students because it's just a different way of life.
Sometimes we want to ask questions.
Thank you. Trustee Jazzowitz is not here to provide a personnel report, so Dr. Trumpkin-Miller will provide us with the highlights.
Madam Chair. So we had a meeting last month with our insurance broker and got some decent news. I mean, obviously, we'd like to hear that the rates are going up 0, but they did come in at 8.7%, which is less than we were anticipating. That said, you know, we've talked with Pat, we've talked with the other units about re-engaging our insurance committee come fall so that we can begin to look at how we might look at restructuring insurance or getting a better handle on an expense that just continues to grow. Welcome some new staff recently. Catherine Giannetti has joined our EOP program as a counselor, and Teresa Munson has joined our admissions staff as a part-time counselor. We have a couple of individuals who accepted new positions within the college. Rebecca Swat within the financial aid office has taken on a new role, and Lucas Teppen is looking to move within the IT department. And we have several searches going on, including coordinator of student involvement, computer services coordinator, LPP counselor, rad tech instructors on the horizon. So we've got a number of positions that we're working to fill, as well as some part-time positions. That concludes my report.
Thank you. It's always makes me laugh. Insurance is the only thing that we're thrilled with. Right. That's a gift. Anything else we haven't, but insurance. Okay, policy committee. At our last meeting, 2/3 of your packet were all the things that we're going to be talking about tonight. I think we had some discussion and some explanation about what they are. Many of the changes, the predominant driving force for these changes was to bring the college in compliance with updated Department of Education regulations. And so in your packets to ensure that you study them thoroughly. The president is recommending that the trustees adopt the updated policy 4000 civil rights Title IX and employment policy. And I have a sponsor. I'm Trustee Gazi, and the second. Trustee Salomon, is there any discussion on the motion regarding this policy? Then we'll call for a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Motion was carried. The next motion to come, or the next item to come before the committee is the revision of our sexual assault policy. The civil rights audit was done. We had to make some changes to become compliant with the law. They are in your packet. And the policy was reviewed by council and approved by the student senate. I would make a motion to adopt the policy that is in your packet, and I would ask for a second. Trustee Perry, is there any discussion on that motion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Okay, that motion carries. Moving on to the Title IX grievance policy. Again, this stemmed from the civil rights audit by state ed. There were findings that we had to make some changes to comply with current federal and state law. Working with legal counsel, we attached policy update was drafted, disseminated, reviewed, and approved by the college senate, and I will ask for the sponsor to adopt that revised policy. Trustee Salomon, and second for same. Trustee Razi, is there any discussion on that policy revision? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? That motion carries as well. Finally, we have,
Public hearing.
oh, sorry, for our public hearing for our policy for the use of video conferencing is still open. And noticed that no one has walked into the room. So I don't believe that there is any comments to be had, but I'll just ask the event, does anyone have any comments on our proposed use of video conferencing policy? Hearing none, I will close that public hearing and ask, if this was in your packets 2 months ago, as all of you know, during COVID, there was some pretty liberal, a very liberal ability to let us participate in public meetings from our homes in order to remotely distance. That timeline has now ended, but public entities are required, should they wish to allow participation by video teleconferencing, to enact a policy that set forth certain guidelines that would allow it to happen. The policy that is presented to the committee meets, or to the trustees, excuse me, meets with the state recommendations and the open meeting law requirements. So I would ask if there is a sponsor, a trustee who would like to sponsor the motion for this video conferencing policy. Trustee Perry, and the second, Trustee Salomon, is there any discussion that anyone would like to have on
Clarification, so under the new policy, other than extraordinary circumstances, a trustee would be not a voting member if participating by video and telephone.
but understanding that the trustee, if a trustee is going to participate by video conference, as long as your location is appropriately announced by the college and it's in a publicly accessible place, they can count towards a quorum and can participate and vote. If they're participating remotely without public notice and without being in a public place, their attendance doesn't count to provide the board with a quorum, but they are allowed to participate as a trustee and vote.
So what is our plan to identify a qualified location?
I can defer to Dr. Truckenmiller, but I think it just has to be truthfully a public space that is appropriately noticed and announced. I don't know. if
Yeah,
there are
so-
restrictions.
Yeah, so to give a specific example, if you happen to be in Florida and you wanted to participate remotely and you were staying at the Holiday Inn in Orlando, and you decided you were going to go down to the lobby or you wanted to invite everybody up to your room, in our meeting announcement, we would announce that Jeff Peck will be participating from Orlando, Florida at this address. Now that is if you want to count towards quorum and have full participation rights. If you just want to be golfing in Florida and you want to count on your fellow trustees to have a physical quorum and you want to be able to vote, we wouldn't have to notify them where you are in Orlando. However, this policy does require us to, and we would as a matter of course, in all of our meeting announcements, indicate that a trustee may be participating remotely because that is one of the requirements. But unless someone was so inclined to invite the public to be with them remotely, we wouldn't publish that particular.
So we'll publish monthly a notice, basically it says that a member may be participating remotely.
Correct.
But if Bethany is away and wants to contribute as chair while she's away and vote count as a quorum, then what would be the requirement to report that location? How far in advance of the meeting?
If she wants to count as part of the quorum,
decides she's going to go to the Orlando Public Library to participate in the meeting.
it's I believe 72 hours. If you want to publish where you are and you want people to be there, it's 72 hours. If you don't care and you just want to be a voting member and there's a physical quorum, there is no, we don't have to tell people where you are. We just have to tell them that trustees are, and we would do that as part of our regular notice, which is also 72 hours because that's the requirement we have to do for a meeting notice. So does that make sense? Or let me rephrase that. Is that clear?
Is there any other discussion on the proposed policy? I'd like to give Trustee Gardella the opportunity if she wants to speak, just because
Sure.
She's here, even though you get that she can't vote, she is a trustee. I don't want to put you on the spot, Jennifer, and you don't have to, but certainly feel free to weigh in if you would like.
Thank you. Since I'm here remotely, right? But yeah, so Dr. T, could you be in a public library and set up something, using their computers?
Sure. The only requirement is that,
Notice.
that the public has the opportunity to participate with you. Doesn't matter where it is, assuming the public library is okay with it, and that's fine.
Okay. And well, thanks. I guess we'll have to puzzle through some of it. But anyway, thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
The other note that I will make on this is when the Senate and the Assembly passed this as part of the budget, they put a sunset on it. So it expires, it says in the motion when it expires, but
July 1, 2024.
yeah, so in 2 years from now, this expires, which would mean at that point, video conferencing is no longer an option unless that's extended. Because what they've done for this period of 2 years is allowed this use for extraordinary purposes.
Mhm.
Yes,
So-
but, right now, there is no COVID, but some people, they have some medical issue that they can be
Mhm.
comfortable at home, but they can participate in board meeting and be counted as a one.
Correct.
In the past, if you were on the phone, they cannot see, then you were not counted as one.
Right.
But if they can see you, then they counted as one.
And thanks for bringing that up, because that is an important distinction that they made in this particular set of regulations, is that the person who is remote must remain on camera at all times.
Yes.
There isn't, you can't do the black screen,
Mhm.
um,
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Dr.
And-
Druckenmiller? Oh,
Yes.
another question I had, which kind of, it piggybacks with the issue, and that is that, do we know yet any more about the governor's office and the desire to change their operations, or that they have changed their operations so that expired trustee terms, people who are waiting in the wings to fill those, can actually occur, so that a quorum is not endangered by a trustee who resigns and no one has been reappointed? Or
So the
appointed?
only new information I have on that subject is that the SUNY office that coordinates that with the governor recently reached out to all the campuses and asked us to provide them with an inventory of our trustees, and particularly those who are expired terms.
Okay.
So I know that there's activity. I don't know any more than that.
That's fine. Thank you very much.
I know that NYCCT has consistently made it an issue. I know that SUNY has been pursuing the governor's office on this issue.
And the
but yeah.
presidents of the community colleges and other colleges, right, as well. Yeah,
Correct. Yeah. Yes, that's correct.
thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion? Then we'll call for a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? And the motion carries. Does any other trustee have any business to bring forth for tonight?
I forgot to, put out this.
I do want to say a few words before we proceed. I do want to thank every single one of you for a very warm welcome to being part of this board. I do feel adequately represented by every single one of you on the board, and I don't think the students truly understand how much work and effort goes into maintaining what we have here, which I believe is a very nice environment at this institution. So I'm looking forward very much so to working with every single one of you in the coming months and weeks to trying to make this place a better place for our students and also for those who work here as well. And I do just want to say thank you for welcoming me to the board today, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we wanted, excuse me, we wanted you to know you are one of us and you have a vote.
Yeah.
So I believe that our board will need to have a brief executive session tonight. As you know, the public officers law requires a justification for going into executive session, along with a vote allowing us to do the same. Before I get into that, I would like to remind all of the trustees that the evaluation for the college president was distributed to everyone. We will at our next meeting have an executive session for the purpose of reviewing those evaluations. I will ask at this time the secretary to the board to make sure that there's a copy for every trustee at the next meeting. This would also be the meeting where we would discuss executive compensation. So I would ask for some kind of background and history about how that has changed over time with Dr. Druckenmiller and the immediate past president, but there'll be no action taken on that tonight. The reason why I'm asking for a motion, and actually I'll sponsor the motion to go into executive session. We have staff disciplinary action to discuss and an employment grievance that needs to be discussed. So if I could have a second for that, trustee Gazi, all in favor of having a brief executive session? Okay. Well, thank you for everyone. I know that no one's saying, so thank you all for attending. And we will go into executive session.
There will be no action after the executive session, so.
Fair. Thank you.